Have you ever taken your morning pills, stretched your aching joints, and still wondered, why does it feel like nothing is helping anymore? For so many seniors living with arthritis, the effort is constant. You follow the doctor's advice, stay active within your limits, watch what you eat, and take each medication faithfully. And yet the stiffness lingers, the swelling returns. The pain doesn't seem to ease like it once did. Sometimes the answer isn't in what you're not doing. It's in what's quietly happening beneath the surface. When two or more medications, even ones meant to help, begin working against each other. These aren't rare or obscure drugs. They're everyday medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, heartburn, or even supplements that claim to fight inflammation. But when combined, some of these harmless choices can make arthritis worse without warning. In today's video, we'll gently uncover 6 common drug combinations that can aggravate joint pain, reduce the effectiveness of your arthritis treatments, or create new challenges altogether. You'll hear real stories from people just like you who face these hidden interactions and found relief by asking the right questions. So if you've been doing everything right but still feel something's not quite right, stay with us. What you learn next might change how you feel tomorrow. 1. NSAIDs and blood pressure medications. It's one of those things that many seniors never see coming. You take a pill for your joints and another for your blood pressure, both prescribed with good intention and both aiming to ease your path through aging. But when they meet inside your body, they can quietly turn against each other. NSAIDs, the pain relievers many rely on for arthritis flare-ups, such as ibuprofen or naproxen, are meant to calm inflammation and make daily movement less painful. They work by blocking substances that cause swelling and discomfort in the joints. On the other hand, ACE inhibitors and diuretics like lisinopril or hydrochlorothiazide are often given to help your heart and kidneys by adjusting fluid levels and easing pressure in your blood vessels. But together, this common pair can cause unexpected trouble. That was the case for Mr. Harold Franklin, a 79-year-old retired high school coach from Asheville, North Carolina. Harold had lived with mild arthritis in his knees for years and found ibuprofen helpful on colder mornings when the stiffness made even walking to the mailbox feel like a chore. At the same time, he was managing high blood pressure with a trusted mix of medications, and life seemed steady enough. But then the swelling in his ankles crept in. He noticed a nagging ache in his lower back that wouldn't quite go away. At first, he chalked it up to aging. Maybe he had pushed himself too hard pruning the backyard shrubs. But when a routine checkup revealed his kidney function was slipping, his doctor raised the red flag. It turned out that the combination of NSAIDs with his blood pressure medications had been straining his kidneys for months. The very drugs that once brought relief were now working against him. Thankfully, with the help of his healthcare team, Harold found a better rhythm. He limited his NSAID use to only when absolutely necessary and started incorporating daily stretches, warm compresses, and turmeric tea into his routine. Within a few weeks, the swelling eased. His blood pressure returned to a more stable range. And most importantly, Harold felt like himself again. His story holds a gentle but important truth for anyone balancing joint pain and heart health. NSAIDs are not the enemy, but they do require caution when used alongside certain medications. The interaction can reduce the effectiveness of blood pressure drugs, increase fluid retention, and even lead to worsened joint inflammation instead of relief. That's why regular conversations with your doctor or pharmacist are so vital. Not just once, but consistently. They can help ensure that all your medications, even the ones you buy over the counter, are working in harmony rather than conflict. Small changes like adjusting the time you take each pill, exploring non-drug remedies for pain, or switching to medications with fewer risks can make a big difference. Your body is constantly speaking to you. Swelling, fatigue, or unusual aches are more than just passing symptoms. They're signals, and paying attention to them can mean the difference between a minor adjustment and a major setback. In the journey of aging well, knowledge is a gift. It protects your health and empowers you to make decisions that truly support your quality of life. When it comes to arthritis and blood pressure, awareness is your first step toward lasting comfort. 2. Corticosteroids and antacids, a hidden risk to bone strength. There's comfort in routine. You take your morning medication, maybe with a gentle breakfast and a sip of warm tea, hoping for a day with less pain and more ease. For many older adults living with arthritis, corticosteroids like prednisone offer that much-needed relief. They help calm the immune system and reduce the fiery inflammation that can make even the simplest movements feel impossible. But sometimes what helps us in one way can quietly cause harm in another, especially when another familiar face enters the picture: the antacid. Whether it's for heartburn, reflux, or a sour stomach, medications like omeprazole or ranitidine are often taken without a second thought. They ease the burn, they settle the gut, but together with corticosteroids, they can slowly begin to weaken the very foundation your joints rely on. That's exactly what happened to Margaret Shaw, an 82-year-old retired piano teacher from Boise, Idaho. Margaret had been managing her rheumatoid arthritis with low-dose prednisone for years. She especially depended on it during the winter, when the cold seemed to sink deeper into her bones. She also took a daily acid blocker to soothe occasional indigestion. For a long time, she felt like she had found her balance, until one day she realized it was getting harder to stand after a nap. Her lower back began to ache in ways that felt different from her arthritis, and her posture was slowly changing. She felt less steady on her feet. Concerned, she visited her doctor, who ordered a series of tests. What they found was surprising, but not uncommon. Her calcium and vitamin D levels were low, and there were early signs of bone thinning. While her inflammation was under control, her bones had been quietly weakening. The combination of steroids and acid reducers had interfered with her body's ability to absorb key nutrients, silently eroding the strength beneath her stability. Fortunately, with guidance from her care team, Margaret made some changes. She switched to a gentler digestive remedy, added more vitamin D and calcium-rich foods into her diet, and started spending time in the morning sunlight. She also began practicing simple weight-bearing movements that strengthened her legs without worsening her arthritis. Slowly, she felt her energy return, her balance improved, and perhaps most importantly, she regained the confidence to keep moving through her days with greater ease. Margaret's story isn't rare. Many seniors are prescribed both corticosteroids and acid blockers without realizing how this pair can compromise their joint and bone health over time. Each drug serves a valuable purpose. One soothes the pain, the other calms the stomach. But together, especially over months or years, they can create a silent gap in your body's nutritional defenses. For anyone taking both, it may be time to ask a simple but important question. Am I giving my bones what they need to stay strong? A quick conversation with your doctor or pharmacist could make all the difference. Bone density checks, a few shifts in medication timing, or adding specific supplements can go a long way in protecting your health. Because joint care isn't only about today's relief, it's about tomorrow's freedom. The ability to walk across your garden, reach for your grandchild's hand, or dance a little to your favorite old tune. In the quiet choices you make each day, you hold the power to preserve the strength that carries your life forward. 3. Statins and muscle pain. When heart meds mimic arthritis. In the journey to protect the heart, many seniors have turned to statins as a trusted ally. These medications, such as atorvastatin or simvastatin, help lower cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. But sometimes, in the quiet effort to care for one part of the body, another begins to whisper for help. What many older adults don't realize is that statins can sometimes trigger muscle-related side effects that closely resemble arthritis flare-ups. And when this happens, it becomes difficult to tell whether the pain in your legs or stiffness in your back is truly joint-related or a signal from your muscles asking for attention. Statins work by blocking an enzyme in the liver that helps the body produce cholesterol. This process is beneficial for heart health, but it also reduces the production of CoQ10, a compound that muscles rely on for energy and recovery. When CoQ10 drops too low, muscles may begin to feel sore, weak, or overly fatigued. It's a slow, creeping kind of discomfort that can feel like the wear and tear of aging or the deep ache of arthritis. But it's not always either. That's what happened to Richard Malone, a 76-year-old retired mail carrier from Portland, Oregon. Richard had been on a statin for more than 10 years, managing his cholesterol without issue. Then one winter, he developed a minor fungal rash and was prescribed a short course of antifungal medication. A few days later, he noticed a new kind of heaviness in his legs. Climbing stairs became difficult. His usual morning walks turned into labored shuffles. He assumed it was his arthritis acting up in the cold, but the pain felt different, deeper, like something wasn't quite right. After a visit to his doctor and a few blood tests, the truth came into focus. The antifungal medication had slowed the breakdown of the statin in his system, causing its levels to spike. That unexpected interaction was the root of his muscle fatigue. With his doctor's guidance, Richard paused the statin temporarily, switched to a different antifungal, and later resumed a lower dose of the statin with added CoQ10 supplements. Within a week, the fatigue lifted, his balance returned, and so did his peace of mind. Richard's story is not unusual. Many seniors face overlapping symptoms from multiple medications, especially when treating both cardiovascular and joint conditions. Muscle pain from statins does not always present the same way as arthritis, but when other drugs interfere with statin metabolism, the lines can blur quickly. That's why being observant and vocal about changes in how your body feels is essential. If you notice a new type of pain, a different kind of weakness, or fatigue that doesn't fit your usual pattern, don't hesitate to speak up. Even a minor medication adjustment or the addition of a supportive nutrient, like CoQ10, can make a significant difference. Managing multiple health conditions in later life is rarely straightforward, but it doesn't have to be confusing or overwhelming. With open dialogue, a listening care team, and a bit of curiosity about what your body is trying to tell you, it is absolutely possible to stay in balance. Your body is wiser than you think, and by paying attention, step by steady step, you can protect not just your heart and joints, but the energy and confidence that carry you forward each day. 4. Diuretics and gout. When water pills trigger joint attacks. For many older adults, diuretics, often called water pills, are a familiar part of daily life. These medications help the body release excess fluid and salt through urination, which in turn eases pressure on the heart and lowers blood pressure. They are trusted companions in managing conditions like hypertension or heart failure. But while they quietly support heart health, diuretics can sometimes awaken another issue, one that brings sharp pain and sudden inflammation. That issue is gout, a specific kind of arthritis that often goes unrecognized until it strikes without warning. Gout develops when the body accumulates too much uric acid in the bloodstream. Normally, the kidneys help filter this substance out, but when uric acid rises beyond a safe level, sharp needle-like crystals can form and settle in the joints. These crystals most commonly attack the big toe, but they can also affect the knees, ankles, or fingers. What follows is often an intense, throbbing pain with redness, heat, and swelling. And for those who already live with arthritis, a gout flare can be easily mistaken for a worsening of their usual joint pain. That's what happened to Helen Monroe, an 84-year-old former florist from Charleston, South Carolina. Helen had been using a diuretic for years to manage her blood pressure, and it had served her well. She enjoyed her morning walks and weekly gardening without too much discomfort. But one evening, she noticed her left foot was unusually tender. By the next morning, the pain had become unbearable. The joint was red and warm, and she couldn't bear to place her foot on the floor. At first, she thought she had twisted it in her sleep or aggravated an old injury. But after a visit to her doctor and a quick round of tests, the diagnosis became clear. It was her first gout attack. The surprising cause? Her diuretic. The medication had slowly impaired her kidney's ability to clear uric acid efficiently. With that insight, her care team adjusted her treatment. They chose a different blood pressure medication that had a gentler effect on uric acid levels. Helen also made small but meaningful changes to her diet, cutting back on red meats and shellfish and drinking more water. Her doctor also prescribed a low-dose medication to help control uric acid. Since then, Helen has not had another gout episode, and her joints feel more stable and calm. Stories like Helen's remind us how interconnected our body systems truly are. A medication that supports the heart can, under certain conditions, put stress on the joints. And because gout can so easily mimic other forms of arthritis, it often flies under the radar. That's why it's important to stay curious and attentive. If you experience a sudden, intense joint pain that doesn't feel like your usual flare-ups, it's worth asking your doctor about uric acid levels. A simple blood test can provide clarity, and a few small changes in medication or nutrition might prevent future discomfort. In the larger picture of aging well, it's not about avoiding medications, but understanding how they work together. Every pill has a purpose, but the real magic lies in how each part of your treatment plan supports the whole. With regular check-ins, thoughtful adjustments, and a willingness to listen to your body, you can protect your joints without compromising your heart. And day by day, that balance becomes the foundation for a stronger, steadier life. 5. When sleep meds hide joint pain. For many seniors, the connection between emotional well-being and physical pain is deeply personal. Arthritis doesn't just affect the joints. It disrupts sleep, drains energy, and can leave the mind feeling foggy or discouraged. It's not unusual for older adults living with chronic pain to also struggle with anxiety, insomnia, or low mood. To support both mind and body, doctors may prescribe antidepressants or sleep aids. These medications can offer much-needed rest and emotional balance. But sometimes when used together or alongside arthritis treatments, they create quiet complications that are easy to overlook. Certain antidepressants like SSRIs and common sleep aids such as trazodone or zolpidem can cause subtle side effects like joint stiffness, morning grogginess, or even delayed muscle recovery. When paired with arthritis medications like corticosteroids or NSAIDs, their sedative effect can sometimes mute the body's natural pain signals. That means an arthritis flare could be quietly progressing while you feel just calm enough not to notice. And if the drugs affect how your liver processes inflammation medication, the result might be less relief or even unintentional buildup in the system. That's what happened to James Whitaker, a 77-year-old retired teacher from Rochester, Minnesota. After being diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis, James was prescribed a gentle antidepressant to help him sleep through the night. At first, it seemed to work, but weeks later, he began waking up foggy, with a stiffness in his knees that wouldn't fade until midday. He found it harder to tell when his arthritis was acting up, and his pain relief didn't seem as dependable. After a medication review, his doctor explained that the sedative was masking inflammation and altering how his arthritis medication was being processed. With a new routine that included melatonin, gentle stretching, and meditation, James regained clarity. He could feel what was happening in his body again and respond before the pain took hold. For older adults managing both emotional and physical symptoms, awareness is key. Medications that help one system should not silence another. If you take antidepressants or sleep aids and notice new joint discomfort or a shift in your pain patterns, talk to your doctor. Because true healing means waking up not just rested, but in tune with what your body truly needs. 6. Herbal supplements. When natural remedies disrupt arthritis care. In the search for gentler ways to care for the body, many seniors are turning to natural remedies. From turmeric and garlic to fish oil and ginseng, these herbal supplements promise relief, energy, and a more holistic approach to aging. And in truth, many of them do offer real benefits. But as more older adults blend these natural options into their daily routine, a quiet challenge has begun to emerge. It's not the supplements themselves, but how they interact with existing medications, especially those taken for arthritis and other long-term conditions. Herbal remedies are often marketed as anti-inflammatories or immune boosters, and for someone managing joint pain, the appeal is clear. Who wouldn't want to soothe stiffness or reduce swelling with something natural? But not all that is natural is automatically safe, especially when it shares space in your system with prescription drugs. What many don't realize is that supplements can interfere with how the liver processes medications. Some speed up the breakdown of your arthritis drugs, making them less effective. Others slow it down, causing higher levels to build in your bloodstream and increasing the risk of side effects like indigestion, dizziness, or liver irritation. And some supplements act as blood thinners, which becomes risky when taken alongside NSAIDs or corticosteroids, both common in joint pain management. That's what happened to Everett Lang, a 73-year-old retired school principal from Tucson, Arizona. Everett had been living with psoriatic arthritis for several years and had been doing well on a low-dose immunosuppressant prescribed by his rheumatologist. Wanting to reduce his reliance on medication, he began taking turmeric capsules and garlic extract after reading about their anti-inflammatory effects. At first, he felt hopeful. His joints seemed slightly looser in the mornings, and he appreciated the idea of taking control of his health through nature. But as the weeks passed, he began to notice troubling changes. His energy dropped. He felt dizzy after meals, and the familiar rhythm of his body seemed off. Lab work later showed his liver enzymes had increased and that the levels of his arthritis medication were fluctuating unpredictably. After sitting down with his doctor and pharmacist, the pieces came together. The herbal supplements were changing how his liver metabolized his arthritis medication. Once he stopped the supplements and returned to a carefully monitored treatment plan, his energy returned and the symptoms faded. Everett's experience is not rare. Many seniors believe that if a product is sold in the vitamin aisle, it must be harmless. But the body doesn't sort pills by source. It processes everything together, and sometimes even the most well-meaning choices can backfire without guidance. This doesn't mean seniors should avoid supplements entirely. In fact, many can be helpful when used with care. But the key lies in intention and supervision. Before adding any new supplement to your daily routine, it's wise to talk to a doctor or pharmacist who understands your full medication list. Ask whether it might affect your liver or kidneys. Ask if it interacts with your arthritis medications. And most importantly, ask what dosage is right for you. Because with the right plan, your treatment can support your whole body instead of pulling it in different directions. For seniors living with chronic joint pain, the daily effort to feel strong and steady is already enough of a task. Unseen interactions can quietly undo progress. A little extra stiffness, a fatigue that seems to linger, a familiar pain that suddenly feels unfamiliar. These small changes are often the first signs of deeper imbalances. That's why awareness is such a powerful tool. Knowing that even supplements can influence your arthritis is the first step to staying in control. So if you're taking multiple medications and begin to feel a shift in how your joints behave, listen to that instinct. Check in, ask questions. Your healthcare team isn't just there to prescribe medication. They're there to help you find harmony in everything you take. A few simple changes, whether in timing, type, or dosage, might be all it takes to feel more balanced again. In the end, joint care is not about choosing between modern medicine and natural remedies. It's about creating a plan that honors both. One that protects your energy, your safety, and your independence. One that allows you to walk through each day with less pain and more peace. And that, above all, is worth every thoughtful step. Every choice you make to understand your medications and how they work together is a quiet act of strength. It's a step toward less pain, more freedom, and the kind of comfort that lets you move through life with greater ease. If today's video helped clarify something you've been wondering about, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Just a few words like, "Felt this too," can mean a lot to someone else watching. And if you're ready to keep learning how to care for your body with wisdom and compassion, consider subscribing. It's a simple way to stay connected, supported, and informed on this journey. Your health is not just in the hands of medicine. It lives in the questions you ask, the patterns you notice, and the quiet changes you choose to make. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and join us next time as we explore more ways to support your joints, your energy, and your everyday joy.